You all good, Shiseki? Nice. Welcome, folks. Apologies, I was a bit late.
You're fine.
Yeah, this is our Space Makers, as we all know. This is where we get together and talk about making spaces. There's lots of cool things going on at the minute. I have to apologize. Aline is off on vacation right now. She's off gallivanting across Europe on a little bit of a backpacker's dream, nightmare. I don't know, whatever. But she's off somewhere in the wilderness anyway, getting
Have to
plenty of
apologize. Aline
grass
is
touched. So I can try as best I can if anybody's got some visual scripting questions to answer them, but my knowledge is pretty limited there, so I'll just be upfront about that. But I do have some cool new things to talk about if you guys are excited about visual scripting specifically. We're working on a new node, a single node for visual scripting, which is going to have an incredible amount of power. So, uh,
Tell us
yeah,
more.
I want
what's
to.
that?
Yes, tell us more. We want to know.
Tell us more. Okay, well,
Yes.
look, I'll just jump right in that case. Basically, what we're building is a node that can inject JavaScript straight from visual scripting into Banter in a fairly wrapped up and standardized way. So there's a few different ways you can do it. You can you can just have a JavaScript file and you can link that as a text node, let's say in your graph, and then you can link that straight into this new node that we've created to do it straight from a file. There's also an opportunity to just have a text field which you can feed in the same way. So if it's a small snippet of JavaScript or it's a much larger piece, uh, yeah, you'll be able to control when and where you inject this kind of code into Banter. There's also the ability to be able to get a response from that code, to be able to receive that asynchronously. I know I'm going to be saying a lot of crazy things here. I'll try to explain them a little bit more detail. You'll also be able to return a response even multiple times from that code. Uh, which is going to be pretty powerful, right? So if any of you are familiar with, maybe you're not, but there's two scripts from the old SDK. One was called A-frame trigger, and the other was called A-frame event. And this was a means to send messages back and forth between Unity and JavaScript. Well, this is kind of like that, but on steroids, because one of the biggest, I guess, limitations, shall we say, of visual scripting is that everything is baked in. And if it's not there the way you want it to be, or it doesn't quite work the way you want it, you often have to go through a spaghetti nightmare to try and get it to work, because visual scripting is pre-baked building blocks that you can kind of piece together in many different ways to be able to do cool things. But it is not dynamic scripting, right? Believe it or not. Even though there's lots of complex stuff you can do with it, at a certain point you might realize, okay, I want to do X, and that's not quite possible. Um, what this new node is going to open up is honestly what could become the most popular workflow for building spaces in Banter. Uh, I'm, as I mentioned before, not really a visual scripting aficionado, let's say, but I am a JavaScript aficionado. And I've always thought that JavaScript is the ultimate. This is where it's always going to be. If people want to build the coolest stuff, they're going to have to do it there. But honestly, this workflow might end up blowing that bull script out of the water, and people might end up using this so that you can very seamlessly integrate JavaScript and visual scripting all together in the visual scripting graph in Unity, right? So what it does is it brings that entire dynamic scripting capability of JavaScript into visual scripting. So you've got fully dynamic code that you can run. Solves, I think, what many people would consider to be that number one limitation of visual scripting. Now, I mean, I'll give you an example. This is maybe how I would approach something like this. Uh, let's say I wanted to create some game logic in JavaScript, and I wanted to be able to use that from visual scripting. What I might do is create a couple of class objects, right? A class is just a collection of properties and functions. It's just a nice way to wrap them all up in a neat little object that you can reuse or use it once, right? That's basically how a lot of people do it. So what I might do is I might make one or more of these class objects, and then I might inject all of those at the very start in visual scripting, have them all injected straight from files. And then later on, throughout my scripting graph, I can call on those classes with like small little one-liners, which I would likely then inject using embedded text fields in the graph. So I'd be able to interact with that functionality that I've put in and call functions on it later when I want to be able to use it in different ways. Now, another thing you could do with that, another use case for that, is that you could take a third-party JavaScript library, one that you can get from the internet. You could have that be injected into your Banter scene from the very start, either by, downloading the file and doing exactly like I've just said, or you could construct a little script tag and inject that file dynamically as well. There's a few different options there, and there's a few different things they tend to do on the web. But then throughout your script graph, you can inject little bits that will call on that, whatever it is, that third-party library, whatever it may do, right? There's maybe a billion different things out there that it could be doing behind the scenes. Who knows really? But this is the sweetest spot, let's say, when it comes to trying to leverage the power of everything that you've got at your disposal, and has the potential to replace what I would have advocated for, which was more of a pure JavaScript environment. This probably is a much more natural way to be able to interact with both visual scripting and JavaScript at the same time. So if you do like visual scripting, this new node is kind of going to rip the lid off of it a little bit uh, and let it all out. So, yeah, uh, we're working on the finishing touches on that right now. It should be done pretty soon. It will basically allow you to send messages back and forth between JavaScript and visual scripting very, very easily, but also do a lot of tighter integration between the two where you can basically have the best of both at any one time. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, the routine, feel free to make your way up onto the podium and maybe we can kick it off from there and see if anybody does have any questions. Maybe not. Maybe that's all crazy and a bit over everybody's head and they're like, what the mother flip are you talking about? Where's Fire Rat? I know Fire Rat or Hubber, right? Hubber's the JavaScript man.
Yeah.
Tell us your opinion on this, Hubber.
I just jumped in about a minute ago, so I didn't hear everything.
Gotcha. Well, let me see if I can repeat it very briefly. You're going to be able to link JavaScript files and JavaScript libraries directly inside Visual Scripting. And then at different other parts in Visual Scripting, you're going to be able to just inject like smaller snippets of JavaScript, like one-line snippets that would be able to interact with that, basically.
Yeah.
Bringing the two together.
Yeah, you lost me at visual scripting.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Right. Yes, I guess you really need somebody who's got an understanding of both to be
Oh,
able
come
to
on, Rob.
appreciate the power that this can bring. Hit me, Shoseki. Yeah. Wordle. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, let's say, for instance, there was a Wordle API and you were able to make a web request to that API, right? Typically, web requests are hard to do, especially in visual scripting, right? The main reason behind that is because the web request library in Unity will allow you to request files, and it will allow you to access more things. So most outfits like spatial or VR chat will all just block web requests for that reason. But because we have access to the browser and you can make those kinds of web requests, yeah, you'd be able to make a request to an API, a Wordle API, find out what are the whatever letters or numbers of the day and the word of the day or whatever, and then pull that into visual scripting and do different things with it. Another example, you could find a JavaScript library that has all of the logic built in for a poker game, right? So you just link that into your visual scripting at the start, and then you just figure out what parts you need to call to be able to get the necessary bits to do, the various stages in the life cycle of a poker game, right? To be able to draw the necessary cards, deal everybody their cards, do the river, the flop, the river, and the turn, and step people through the whole betting part. All of that could be pre-built for you by a third party using a different library, and you'd be able to just plug that in into visual scripting. So rather than having to build all of that from scratch in a visual scripting environment where it could get very complex, you can have a lot of that logic handed off to a third party who might have already perfected said approach and save you the headache. So that's an example, for instance. Yes, yes, yes. It will probably wrap it inside of an anonymous function just so that it's maybe not running at the very root level. So it can be inside of an async function in case there's anything async await going on, but it will still be able to access the window object, all global properties. Like you could have one snippet that sets a property, another snippet that reads a property. There's kind of a global namespace that goes on in JavaScript, and everything you inject will always be available then from there on out inside of your space, generally, right? So that's yes, you could have a WebSocket. You can make a very simple system that wraps a WebSocket, connects you, receives the messages, and sends them into visual scripting, and allows you to send messages straight back. So yeah, you could do WebSockets, you could do WebRTC, which is like peer-to-peer stuff. That's what we use for the video streaming. It's hard to know for sure where the limits of this are, but you could basically do everything you can do dynamically with code, of course, but intersplice that with all of the pre-baked goodness that comes with visual scripting. It is honestly, I think it's really where things are going to lift off, right? Some of you guys are working on things like scoreboards and stuff like that. It's starting to get tricky as to where variables are stored, where you can do all that. This opens up all of that, right? You can just store all of your variables in your state inside of JavaScript land and be able to access and read those at any time from visual scripting. Uh, the next thing we want to open up is something called space state properties, which we are going to have a native node for to handle making changes to those and receiving changes into visual scripting. But this immediately opens up the opportunity to do that through this JavaScript bridge. So even before we do it, you can do it anyway. But we do want to make that a bit easier, right? There's no need to have that all bounce back and forth from JavaScript when it's all happening in Unity anyway. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's God. JavaScript is probably the most evolved language I would say on the planet, just because it's the language of choice for the internet. It's evolved to become the language of choice for building almost everything on the internet, but has also expanded to cover a large scope of desktop and mobile applications as well, because there's this whole generation of what they call hybrid apps, which are basically built with JavaScript. SideQuest, if you're familiar with that app that's been downloaded, maybe 10 million times now at this point, which is fucking crazy. But it's built with JavaScript, right? It's built with a little platform called Electron. Electron is basically a headless browser that lets you turn a web page into an application. Uh, and yeah, lots of other things are built with that. Discord is built with Electron, for instance. Uh, VS Code is built with Electron. I mean, there's loads of them. Slack, a bunch of other ones. They're all kind of built out with Electron. But yeah, yes, the Unity Hub is built with Electron. Yeah, yeah. There's so many things now that involve JavaScript as kind of a party language, let's say, when it comes to building not just websites but apps. That's how you know big it's become. And because of something called Node.js, it's also kind of evolved to take over all of the development environment for all of these types of apps as well. So yeah, bottom line, I guess what I'm trying to put across is there are probably, I would say, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of JavaScript libraries out there that do crazy shit. And this will open up the opportunity to just arbitrarily link those in and start to use them from visual scripting in a way that it should be universally compatible, right? Because after all, it's just JavaScript. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm waffling now. If anybody has any other questions related to anything else that's not this, feel free to jump up onto the podium. I'll be happy to answer them. If not, I might just
I have a
call
question.
on.
Would that
Go ahead.
allow us to like do it so that we can fetch user inputs as well then?
Yes, although some of these things I do want to just expose directly to visual scripting. So I think if you can
Okay.
imagine stuff that's native to Banter, we'll want to expose. But in the meantime,
Mm.
until we do, you can very easily create a bridge that would allow you to get access to that then using
Right.
this system. In fact, that was why we wanted to prioritize this first and foremost, was to establish those communication channels first of all, that you can
Yeah.
easily send info back and forth multiple times, but also to bridge the gap with anything that hasn't been yet exposed in the SDK, because it'll never be deprecated. It should continue to work. It should never get broken.
Yeah, makes sense. Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Go ahead. That I'm not sure of. I would assume so. You could probably create a new material from visual scripting and then from there assign that material to an object. Mesh generation, I'm not sure. I don't know if anybody else knows.
I'm not sure.
You might be able to create a new mesh object, and I'm not sure how you might populate because you need to populate the verts first of all, then the index, which is the triangles. You need to populate the UVs and the normals, right? So you need to have those four sets of data if you want to create a mesh that can work
Yeah.
well, let's say, with most materials. There might be other stuff as well, colors
Exactly.
that you might want to include there too. You could do that. Yep. Absolutely. Guys, I should put a little disclaimer out there. Shoseki is addicted to mesh creation. He just loves to mesh it up. Honestly, that's all he does all weekend. He's there in the middle of the night down some crazy rabbit hole. The procedural mesh. Oh, yes. And you just dig down for hours, doom scroll late at night until your eyes are falling out of your head. It's honestly, it's better than crack for Shoseki. So uh, it's great though. It's great. I do love it. I do love it. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, other than that, guys, the main priority with SDK v2, which is pretty much out now for a lot of you guys, it's not all that difficult to get access to it. The only access that's really limited is the SDK v2 channel, where we can talk about it and you can ask questions directly, and we can yeah, I don't know, figure out how best to move forward. But yeah, the main priority right now is there's still a short list of bugs that we've been tracking in the SDK v2 bugs forum in the Discord. So we're going to be working through those. There's still one or two nodes that we want to try and get out as well. And at that point, we're basically working towards a larger release, right? Which for the most part won't really change a lot for some of you because all we're going to probably do there is, oh, look who it is.
Oh my goodness!
Oh no, where are you? Are you are you in a
I thought
cave?
you were out spelunking.
No, I'm on the terrace. Right
Paris?
next to me is the ocean, and I'm using my mobile hotspot because the Wi-Fi sucks.
Yeah, that's commitment.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, the mobile hotspot's working well. Nice. Well, that's awesome that you made it. Yeah, I was just sitting up here waffling about visual scripting for ages, and I didn't really know much about it. But I was mostly talking about this new JavaScript injection node that we were working on and how that's going to open up a whole lot of cool stuff. And yeah, what's left really in SDK v2 and what's going to happen when we go public with the launch. What will happen is we'll probably move the current documentation on the website into an archive section. We'll still be there for a point of reference since pretty much most of that stuff still works. But we'll then replace it with the new documentation that's still a work in progress, but mostly complete. And yeah, probably shouting loud about it. Hopefully at that point, we'll have released the paintball game as a first party game on the platform as well. So going further than just releasing that as a sample. Some of you may have noticed in the package that you import into Unity that there's a quick start sample that's included. It's actually empty right now. I don't think there's anything, maybe a git keep or something in that folder just to stop it from being removed. But that's basically how we plan to do the samples. Right now we've got 3 samples on deck. We're going to have a quick start, kind of like a hello world example, just to get you going, and that's it. And then we'll probably have like a kitchen sink example. If any of you have ever ended up in our smoke test space with that big long pink road, you can imagine something like that that sort of just tries to demonstrate as much of the coverage of the SDK as possible. And yeah, then the polished sample, which will be the paintball game that we're working on. So that'll be the idea, that you'll just be able to, within the package manager, there's a little section under the Banter SDK where you can go samples, click down, and then you can pick from each and import them into your scene and use them as a base or a template, or just use them as an example, right? So that's how we plan to do those samples. So yeah, I mean, I think the only other thing that we might consider doing is a scoped repository on the Unity Asset Store, which might just make the SDK a little bit easier to get your hands on, because you might just then be able to install it direct from the Unity Asset Store. I don't know. The Unity Asset Store is just so disconnected from Unity these days that it's a matter of, do you go to the Unity Asset Store or do you go to the package manager and paste in a Git URL? It hardly seems it worth it to be on the Asset Store these days. But that's probably the last step in the process for us. Thankfully, I actually already have an asset on the store, so if we do want to do that, it should be quick rather than having to wait the extended initial approval times that the Asset Store has. So, yeah. And that's kind of it, guys. At that point, yeah, there might be 1 or 2 more games that we'll try and work on that might demonstrate the SDK. I'm not sure if they'll make it into the samples or not, or if they'll just get released as general games on the platform. I know there's internally a number of people working on things using the new SDK, both from JavaScript and from a visual scripting standpoint. We've got a roguelike kind of setup underway. There's also an RC car kind of thing that somebody else is working on as well. So those are 2 games that are being worked on right now using the new SDK as well internally. But yeah, obviously, Aline, I assume you're not in a position to be able to stream your screen and show anybody anything cool on visual scripting. But if anybody does have any questions, now is probably the time if you wanted to ask Aline, because she may not be available over the next week and a half. Isn't that right, Aline?
Yes, week and a half. But I
Week
hope
and a half.
I get better internet because, yeah, currently it's it's super shitty. But
Well,
yeah,
at
it
least
should
you've got that hotspot.
be better. Yes, but the data is ticking up fast. I'm already, since I started connecting Banter, I'm at 640 megabyte.
Oh no. What's your limit?
My limit is 10 gigabyte, but that's
Gotcha.
for the whole
Wow.
month.
Gotcha.
Damn,
That's
2
a lot.
hours.
Okay, everybody mute yourself so Aline's data doesn't
Stop
go
moving.
up. Yeah, nobody
No,
nobody move.
that's fine. Uh, it should be better. I think just
Don't breathe.
someone in the same Wi-Fi is watching Netflix or something like this. So that's why
Gotcha.
the connection is so bad. But over the day, it should be way better. And then I'm normally available with the laptop.
You see, all you got to do there is just, pop open a little console and IP config, default gateway. Oh, pop that into the browser. Oh, look at this router page. Oh, what's the default
yeah.
password? Oh, great, I'm straight in there. Oh, is there clients connected? Oh, let's bump them off. Let's fucking change the Wi-Fi password. Let's fuck all those people. Let's change the Wi-Fi name to Pretty Fly for a Wi-Fi. Yes, then you go around to everyone else's houses and put a leaflet through their door saying, "Having Wi-Fi problems?"
That's why you always change your passwords, folks.
You can take that to the bank, folks. That's a business model in a box. There you go. Boom. Job done. Sorry, Divine, you've got a question. Hit me.
Yes. Do we have a timer for the selfie camera so we can like set it and then like go away from it and have it take a picture? Or just like, use both of our hands and go like this? I'm looking on the selfie camera and I don't see a timer. So I was wondering if there's one that I don't see or if there can be one. Put one
I
in there.
don't think there is a timer. I think it's the only way you could possibly do that is just from a distance, right? If you set the camera down and then from a distance you can hit the capture button
But you would still have
rather than
to
a
have
timer.
your hand pointing
Yeah.
at the
Hold it.
camera instead of like this or,
Yes.
yeah. Can
But just
can we
put
get a
just
You have to
timer?
hold it.
just bring out your third hand from the middle and let it take the
My
picture
third
while your other
hand.
two. Yes. I like the way you checked there. Have I got a
It's like
third
my
hand I didn't
third
know
eye.
about? Oh no. Oh no.
Oh
Uh
goodness. Oh
yeah, I
gosh.
mean that's not a
Oh
bad
god.
idea.
Oh
Maybe
god. Okay, sorry.
yeah, maybe that's something we can implement. We need to get the selfie camera into the menu.
Oh
It's
gosh.
probably going to be the new menu that has the selfie camera in it. So once that's in there, then you should have it in every space. You should be able to spawn it
Oh
in every
awesome.
space. And yeah, I think we could a timer doesn't seem too
Cool.
unreasonable, Aline, to be able to add to that, does it?
Nope. So the current selfie cam, it's really just glued together with Unity events. But
Oh.
yeah, now with visual scripting, I think it's time to rework the whole selfie cam and make it a lot more
Upgrade.
functional.
Nice. And
Make
integrate
a
it
drone.
into the menu. Into a drone.
As a
That's
drone.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some cool ideas for the camera. I mean, one thing we want to do is have like uh, just have it like a smartphone, right? That you can go around and take pictures with, and have that integrated. It's like an app in the menu that you can just open the camera app and take pictures. But I like the drone idea. That kind of sounds a little bit like the no clip camera, that F7 camera we've got if you're a mod in a space that you can press. But you can't do that in VR, of course. That's kind of
Yeah.
a tricky one.
You could just like sort of have it following you automatically or something.
Yeah, yeah, that could be really cool. That could definitely be really cool.
Oh yeah. There is.
Oh, oh no.
Get a duck.
Oh yeah. Oh no. That sounds like a bug we're turning into a feature, folks. Let's go. Not going
What
to
happens if you
explain
have
to
a
the
camera
stream
with an
what that
audio
means.
listener?
What's that? Yeah, exactly.
Oh shit.
There is actually a follow mode in the F7 camera as well, believe it or not, which has a whole sort of third person kind of strategy. It, it collides with walls and stuff like that and tries to work its way around you whenever you're in a closed quarters space without clipping through the walls, basically. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that. Probably not. Think about it, you hit P. Yeah, there you go. The stream can see it right now. Follow mode. Nice. So I spin around and it just follows me. But yeah, I think it's P or something. When you hit F7, then you hit P. It brings you into the person mode or whatever it is, and then you've got. We were planning that to be something like if there was sort of esports or something like that going on. We used it a lot for a lot of the scavenger hunts we did in the early days, where yeah, we could see people as they got closer and closer to the edge, watch them as they completely freak out, because that's what everybody does whenever you kind of have worked really hard to get right up to the edge and you're about to win a prize. Most people just have a fucking mental breakdown a little bit, which is always really great to watch. So that's yes, yeah. I think it's just basic Cinemachine stuff. I don't think there's anything considerably special in it, right? It's just a built-in Cinemachine follow cam that will follow, you know, positionally and rotationally, but with those extra settings, I guess, to stop it from or to make it collide with the walls and whatever else. Works great for spaces that are slightly open, but with spaces that are fairly closed quarters, like the back rooms and stuff like that, the camera's always kind of fighting to stay in view, and sometimes can be a bit messed up. But yeah, I think something else we want to get for the selfie camera is video, right? That's something people have been talking about too. It'd be really cool if we could do video with it, so that you could record yourself rather than just your own first-person view. Triffid is doing some dancing.
Do you have to use like some
As always,
meta
as
SDK
always.
for that or something?
What's that, sorry?
To get video from the headsets standalone? Like, do you need to use a like meta specific SDK for that, or?
Well, I mean, the current video recording is just basically meta. There is
Yeah,
no
yeah.
built in. But if we were building it in, I'm not too sure, to be honest. When it comes to Android, to be able to get as much out of the performance as you can, get as high quality video as you can, we might have to try and lean on anything we can to improve that. But the hope would be that no, we can build something standalone that doesn't leverage their stuff, so it can easily work on other platforms too. But yeah, mobile is always going to be the most challenging there, and you want to have high quality recordings, right? At least 30 FPS. God, I don't know what resolution we would want to aim for. At least 1920, 30, 30 FPS
320
would be
by
really nice.
140 or something.
320 by 140 at 5 FPS. Best
Yep.
we can do. Honestly, I don't know how to do that. How to encode and stream a texture basically out to a file like that on the fly. I imagine we'd have to run some encoder in the build and just start splitting frames to it like crazy. It's my expectation. Something on a background frame, on a background thread. No, I would say it would be something just built into Banter. It wouldn't depend on anything like that, because otherwise that would be a pain in the ass, really. It would have to just be as seamless as the selfie camera, right? You just have to be able to click a button, it's recording, click a button, it's stopped. And ideally, the file is already in your gallery or can be accessed and shared very easily from inside the headset. That'd be the best thing. Oh boy. Oh no. What's Aline doing? Where's our member
Yeah,
of the month? God damn it. I want to pick on our member of the month.
I don't think she's here, you think?
Right, Lisa? Right, Herbert? You guys went through it. You should go and find our member of the month. Drag them in here.
She's probably
Maybe she's
watching
got
the
wise
stream.
to it after us two.
And
Ah,
hiding.
Nah.
well, if our member of the month is on the stream, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you
I'm
go.
betting she's one of them.
4
I
million?
bet so. That's right. 40 million.
Oh wow. Not as much as last time, but
Yeah. Yes. Straight in on banter.
Here she is.
Wait, there's football.
Oh, here she goes.
Peekaboo.
Okay,
Indeed,
so
I
give us
was
your
watching the streams.
give us your give us your 2 cents on all the mad stuff we've been talking about in that case. Oh, look, everybody's coming in now. We're dragging them all in. From the streams.
I must bring the milkshake to the art. Hi. What are all the fun stuff you have? I haven't followed all of it in the beginning because I was doing a meeting for something else. So I don't have a lot of saying of, for example, the SDK2. But I second the Vine about the whole camera app and whatnot, which is nice. And all of the new
seconded.
features that we have gotten, I'm enjoy them. The fact that I can turn down like voice distance and whatnot, and also turn on my personal space bubble has been godsend sometimes. Keep doing the good work. You're doing great, Shane. We don't always appreciate you for all the hard work you're doing, but you are doing hard work, and we see that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks to our member of the month, everybody. Round of applause.
Woo woo! Yeah, yeah.
Oh, emojis. That's actually something else we've been kind of working on.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm
we could
interesting.
do an impromptu. You want to just bring everyone into our all hands space, Celine? Let them see the old emojis. No? Yeah? I don't know.
Maybe,
A little bit of a.
but they're pretty bad. Nothing special.
Well,
He's
let's
running
do it.
away.
Fuck it. Can you do this, Joseki?
Trying to
You
take a
able to
picture
join?
of you.
Yeah, go for it. Why not? Yeah, you'll recognize this space. This is just another instance of it
Oh,
that we use
When
for
he
our all
jumped. There we go.
that gooch. Let's get that in. Oh, clappity clap, clappity on.
Lordy.
That's it, guys. We got emojis. Oh, I'm not megaphone.
We got it. We got it.
We
I'm
got
giving
it, you
that.
guys. We
Ah.
bloody did it. There's some on your seats. If you
On the
want to jump
seats?
into the front,
How do you
yeah.
activate them?
Ooh,
I
there
think
we
you just
go.
jump into the front row or something. Or you jump into the
Oh,
seat.
yes,
Is that it? Yeah, and then it appears in front of you, and then everybody can do them. They're not exactly lined up right. I think the very last duck is Elon smoking, and Elon smoking
Yeah.
is nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, they're completely
Yes.
mixed up.
I'm
Sorry.
confused.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
there they
are a
are.
bit.
How did you do the GIF?
Ah.
Oh, they're just sprite sheets, right? These are just GIFs converted to sprite sheets.
Yes, exactly.
That's cool.
Oh, it's a cry
And
one.
at the end, it's
Ah.
really just a single particle with the
Wait,
with the sprite sheet
are you clicking the
animation.
chair? Oh,
Gotcha.
they're on the back of the chair.
Yeah, sit in his chair and they're on the back, or on the front row.
So emojis, right? Maybe we
And
could
also there is currently no limit, so if you
go to
continue
town.
smashing those buttons, you can crash the space.
Crash us
button.
all. Yes,
yeah.
come on. Let's go, everyone. Let's fucking smoke it.
How many emojis can we get going on?
Shiseki, this reminds me of one of your early demos in the old Altspace SDK. Do you remember you had like an image that was just flipping in and out of itself? This surprisingly doesn't suffer from the same transparency issues as a sprite as you might. Or maybe it does. Maybe it's just hard to replicate on a Quest 3. But yeah, anyway.
Nice.
There you go. There's some emojis. We need to get some of these things into the actual menu. So
Are
if
we
we can
gonna
work
be
to
able to make
refine
some
this,
more,
Mhm.
like of our own?
well, I mean that's a good question, and I think that's gonna be a nice segue into an Banter Plus subscription. Am I right? Now you can do all custom emojis. You could throw up a little floppy penis there emoji. $9.99 for the first month, and then $48.99 for the next 18 months, and then $2.99 for the
I
next
mean, you
month,
get
and then
6 emojis for free, but
you get
then
6
you
for
have to pay
free.
for premium
First
emojis.
6.
But they're the
Yeah.
worst.
Yeah.
They're all sad.
I
Every single
mean,
one of them
that
is a
does
sad emoji.
that isn't too bad though. If you have a stock standard group of emojis that you can use, and then to have paid subscription for your personalized ones, up to like 10 of them, that would be like another reason for some
Discord
people
Nitro.
yeah,
Mm.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
exactly.
But yeah,
Nice.
this is obviously just a fairly basic system. It's only really built into this world.
Mm.
Isn't that right, Aline? It's just a trigger based on your avatar. If you jump into the seat, I think it just scales up your individual control panel, and then you can click, and then
No, it's
it'll
actually
just sync. No,
disabling and enabling the mesh renderer. Since this is now built with visual scripting, the big opportunity is that you don't have to hook up everything on its own. So I just have a list with all the emojis, and all the setup, all the triggers are done automatically. So I can just add more of them, just add them to the list, and they will just work out of the
gotcha.
box.
Would it be hard to add sounds to them,
What sort of sounds?
Absolutely not.
like clapping,
Clapping sound.
like clapping
Oh,
sounds, like for the
oh,
for the
well, that's
clapping
boring.
one?
Thought you were gonna say fart sounds. I
For
was
for the
interested there for
clapping
a
one, I
moment.
mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
That should
cricket
be
sounds. That'd be great.
the one that's
A little
the
cricket
one
that
that's got
jumps
the
across the
kissy
room.
face should have the fart sounds. There you go.
Is that the
Oh no,
kissy face?
Or this one. Wait, that one. That's the kissy face one. Yeah, that's
Yeah. No.
that one. I have it. Oh, that one.
I already see
Yeah.
naughty misusage of sounds with
Yeah.
Yes.
emojis.
There you go. Boom. Straight away.
Crying,
That's what
crying.
happens as soon as it does it. Well, I encourage you to make your own sound effects. Sometimes I like to do that for fun. Listen to this. Do you like that? I just made that one up. So feel free. You've got your microphone. It's live all day long. You can just
That
make
should be the
random
default.
sound effects, and nobody can stop you. Oh God.
Soundboard?
Yeah, the copycat.
Man, you got a soundboard?
Soundboard would be cool. Soundboard would be cool. I'm pretty sure you could probably hook that up already with something like Voice Meter or something like that, right? But soundboard would be pretty cool. I think we've talked about that internally. But can you imagine people going around making sounds out of themselves? Is that going to get real annoying real fast? No,
We'll
it's
have
going to
this
be
little
perfect
sound
and
box.
beautiful. There you go. There you go. You got it, Divine.
Guess what, everybody? You lost the game.
Mute all soundboards. Mute all those motherfucking soundboards. Get them
Game
all
over.
muted.
You lost
That's
the
great.
game.
Go on. How
Yep.
many have you got? Give us a nice little. Put you on megaphone.
Oh,
Give us a nice
really?
little,
Hold on.
yeah,
I got
let's hear
a
it.
lot of them. There's a lot.
Okay. Well, we've got
That's goal.
15 minutes. Let's go.
Lost
Are they
the
all
game.
Mario sounds?
Whatever.
Oh.
That was a long
There
one.
you go.
Oh, no one wants to hear that. Fuck that.
Oh,
God,
no.
that one's loud.
It seems that your echo cancellation cut it out. Don't think we heard that one at all.
Oh, really?
But anyway, there you go. There's a nice demonstration,
There's
you
a
guys.
lot.
That's how annoying soundboards
Yeah.
could be if we really
There you
wanted
go.
them to be.
I want
Yes. I imagine Lee's got a nice setup where he could start bursting
probably
out
does.
sounds whenever he wants.
This is
Right?
just a toy from my kids' toy box.
Probably
Yeah.
on the fly.
I just want
Them
one
toys
with
from
20 different
Greg's.
habitats.
Oh, say that again.
I'm going to get one of those aluminum toys from Greg's.
Oh, right. I see.
That was a custom one for my British
That was
friends.
very loud, very clear. It was amazing.
Very.
Yeah.
Straight through
And,
the mix.
That's right. That's right. They sell pie.
going to use the Max 3 today.
Jesus, Lee. He's just waiting for a prompt. Go on, give us another couple, Lee. Let's hear them. Something offensive, but not offensive. But offensive, but not
Eating
offensive.
pie, shooting rope.
There you go. Eat pie, shooting rope. Feel like that's a
Right.
reference to one of the previous songs that we did, right? Nice.
Yeah.
So we need soundboards in a nutshell. People need to be able to just walk
Oh.
around, burst
And
out
a toggle for
sounds. And a toggle for them, of course. In fact, let's bring the toggle in first and tell everybody you've got a month to turn this off. Okay? A month from now. It doesn't even exist yet, but you can already turn it off. And we're going to turn it off. I've turned it off myself. It's off. Okay? That's it. Now,
Mhm.
it's rolled out. On your head be it.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
generate
God.
the sounds from 11 Labs and
That's right. Well, can you do that though? Like sound effects, or do you just mean
Yeah.
a couple of vocals?
yeah, that's how I did that. With the
Right.
11 Labs, and you can generate just about anything you want.
I need to share my Richard Iowati voice with you. If that's a thing you can do, can you do that? Can you share voices on 11 Labs?
I
You
don't
have
think
that?
voices.
I have Richard Iowati.
I don't
crazy.
think you can do the voices unless you cloned it. But that would probably be against.
I guess
the
they could just
rules.
get it to say a bunch of stuff, record that, give you like 5 minutes of the recording, and then you could just make it from that, right?
I could probably try to clone it.
Read this. Yes, yes. We promise we're not going to do anything with it. I don't think
Actually, I
Cameo
wanna
has that
do it
protection
in
yet from
Udio.
training AI on the output. Ah,
Whoa. I didn't know you could get
Yeah.
up here.
Fun fact, Majel Barrett, which is the voice of the computer on Star Trek, actually did that before she died, recorded all these phonemes of her voice with a view to somebody could use it in the future. But she didn't record enough. So, up until recently, technology really wasn't advanced enough to be able to fill in the gaps. And big companies tried. Amazon tried to license it. Google tried to license it to have it as the voice. But nobody's managed to do it yet. But I think modern AI, 11 Labs kind of stuff, you could probably recover that in different ways and try and get a handle on that. And, you can imagine I'm only just noticing that. What? Were these always here?
The clouds.
Those clouds, those
Nope.
banter clouds, and those side quest logos flying through the air. Is that always here? Did you just turn
I
that
don't
on?
know.
You.
I don't
And she's
know.
gone.
That is something that you can turn on the back. I think if
Yeah,
I
but that's
remember
new.
correctly.
Oh, there's a button. Oh, no.
All the plants have
Oh.
appeared.
Where's the button?
Turned on the plants.
Somehow the
That's
plants
saying
are
something.
turn-onable.
That's saying something.
I don't know how those other things get turned on, though. Maybe they don't. Maybe they've always been there, and I just haven't noticed them. This is where we get together, by the way, roughly once a month, and have what we call our all hands. And I just basically just stand up here and go slap this
Very
button
productive.
over and over. Yeah, I need to get you invited to that actually, because you're not on the Google calendar.
But I'm not
But
on
yeah.
Google.
This is usually where we get all the team together and do. You've seen pictures, I'm sure, of us all together in here in the event snaps, and sometimes we'll bail out of here and start doing a world hop as well. We've been doing that increasingly frequently too. But yeah, I guess that's the extent uh, of the emoji demo that Aline sort of threw together. Yeah, Aline sort of whipped this up just before she went off on her break, so that we could test it out in our all hands
Will
to
this
see how well
be
it
on a like in your menu or on maybe a wristband or something like that? Or
That's a good question. So
TBD.
I think when it comes to just UI and menu in general, right? There's it's actually a pretty complicated topic as to how you can make that, right? And just slapping something on your wrist that you can work with is probably not gonna quite cut it. You know, there probably needs to be better user experience than that. Some way to initially interact and open the menu, something that's natural that can work with your controllers, but also works in 2D and maybe works with just hand tracking in future. And then from there, the ability to navigate maybe multi-dimensional quick menus right from your hands. So you've got this sort of stuff, let's say in VR chat with their expression menu, you can go up and down, it's a radial menu, that kind of thing. Something like that is likely where we're going, but it may not be just emojis that it would house. It could also be a quick menu for you to mute on, or a quick menu for you to pop out the selfie cam, or maybe to open your avatar changer, or
Personal
something
bubble.
that holds all of the basically stuff that you might want to change on the hop fairly quickly that you don't want to have to dig your way down into the settings screen for, right? But also not going too far, keeping it a limited quick menu so it doesn't end up too convoluted with pretty much everything in there. But yeah, in fact, that's the reason I was a couple minutes late, was because I got lost in something I'm working on right now, which is a radial based quick menu that will hopefully integrate with the new menu that we're working on. I'm just trying to build out some prototypes to see what's possible, and what's comfortable for people to use. So yeah, in
It's
short,
also nice to use
Andy,
with
probably, yeah.
ranges. If you have ranges that you have to change the
Yes.
value of 0 to 100, it's very
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
with a radial menu. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. What I'll do is I'll share a video in the Space Makers channel after this of something I actually built a number of years ago, nearly 5 years ago now, which was a radial menu for a different app at the time called SideQuest Legends or The Expanse, right? Which is basically the game that sort of kicked off our whole journey to where we are here at SideQuest. But at the time, I prototyped this radial menu, and it had a radial scroll bar and everything that you could scroll around. And exactly as you say, you plop into one item, it goes down a level, and then from there you could have all sorts of different configurations like sliders and ranges and whatever else you need. And honestly, it felt great, except for I shoved everything into it. I rebuilt Shane's editor inside this thing. You'll see it all in the video when I share it, but it was just, what the fuck? It started opening up multiple panes on top of it, and those panes started opening modals, and it was like fucking 6 screens you're trying to interact with before you can get back to this little handheld radial menu. So
I've noticed if there's too many buttons on the radius, then it can be hard to get the right one, because it depends how you select them, I suppose, but a lot of the time you have to like flick to it, and then as you release, you go into the next menu, right? But if you have a lot of those buttons stacked around that circle, then it might be hard to hit the one that you're after.
yes. Well, what I was thinking of doing was, instead of like squeezing them all in around the edge, the plan would be to have paginated views, right? So the buttons could all be nice and big and spaced out, and then you would actually scroll around the menu, right? Like one of those 1800 telephones. You have to stick your finger in there, and it would make a really horrific sound. Yeah, 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 exactly. Well, yeah, kind of, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, so it wouldn't be a full. The idea would be it would only be sort of a partial radial part that would be exposed, and then you could scroll your way through, bringing stuff kind of more up into your forefront. But I mean, even then, even with something like that, I think the biggest challenge is that anything that's going to keep your hand up in the air for an extended period of time is going to get pretty tiring pretty quickly. So it has to be quick things. It definitely has to be
Yeah.
boop, 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 done, put your hands away. You know what I mean? It can't be anything that you're sitting there for a long period of time and working your way through things. But
No.
yeah, honestly, we just need to get our UX people together on that and get them to try and test it. We might, run some testing sessions internally. That's going to be a trend as we go forward. That we'll try and bring stuff in and test it out with people here before we go too far down that road, right? And end up creating something crazy that nobody will ever use. But yeah, I think that pretty much brings us up to the end of the event. Let's see, what have we got? In about 2 hours, you've got NeuroChat, which is starting. I think a couple of the other events that were scheduled for tonight may have been cancelled. You've got a lineup of events with Discord Kitty. You've got Game Night, the Late Show, and then the Late Show After Party. That's always very popular. Reading with Jem afterwards, 18 plus. That one gets pretty raunchy, I've heard. But yeah. But yeah, thank you so much, folks, and thanks for coming with me to see our all hands
Shane.
space. And yeah, stay tuned because we've got lots of things in the works right now as we kind of get towards this big release. We're working on a launch trailer. We're working on a fix for the avatar problem. We're going to be working on a new segmentation within spaces so that you could have an event instance within a space but still be able to visit the space that isn't the event, and also be able to create private versions of that space on the fly so that you and your friends can jump into those and use those. So yeah, these are the next things that are kind of on deck. Also, I've started working with my CTO to try and map out the initial research required to achieve basically body tracking and OSC integration. So we're rebuilding the character controller. I've already been playing with the new physics-based character controller. And while we rebuild that, we're also going to be looking at building out a new rig for the character, as well as overhauling how we do the networking for the character. And we have a few interesting experiments to try along the way there. But while we're doing that, it's a real nice opportunity to look at trying to build in, the backbone that we need to be able to support body tracking natively with Vive trackers, natively with Quest waist tracking and leg estimation, but also building out this framework for OSC so we can have whatever stuff can hook into your avatar and be able to do a bunch of different things on there. But anyway, that's just
Awesome.
a taste of some of the stuff we've got going on behind the scenes. But yeah, I'm going to jump out. I'm going to probably work on this new radial thing. Keep an eye out in the Space Makers channel. I'll share that video that's kind of inspired what I'm doing. And yeah, thanks again, guys. You slam those
clap,
clap
clap, 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 clap,
emojis.
clap, 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 clap,
Yeah,
clap,
we
clap,
need
clap,
those
clap,
emojis.
clap, clap,
These seem to
clap,
work
clap,
pretty
clap,
well.
clap, clap, clap.
Maybe performance could be improved, but we'll figure that out.